The thunderclap shattered the night like a gunshot, jolting me from the worn leather armchair where I'd been nursing a whiskey sour, staring at the rain-lashed window of my ranch house in the Texas Panhandle. Lightning forked across the sky, illuminating the silhouette of a man staggering up my gravel drive, his truck abandoned in the ditch like a gutted beast. He collapsed against my porch rail, soaked to the bone, gasping out a single word that cut through the howl of the wind. "Please!" I flung open the door before reason could catch up, the storm's fury whipping my flannel shirt like a flag in surrender. He looked up at me with eyes wild as a cornered coyote, green, piercing, framed by lashes clumped with rain, and in that instant, I knew the stranger was about to upend the quiet ruin of my life. "His name was Ryan," he rasped later, after I dragged him inside and wrapped him in a threadbare quilt from the linen closet, the one my ex had left behind like a parting curse. "Matthew. That's me, Matthew Hale, 34 and counting the scars on my knuckles from too many bar fights over words I shouldn't have said." The ranch, Hale's End, sprawled across 200 acres of stubborn scrubland and mesquite trees, an inheritance from a father who believed in hard work and harder silences. I'd been alone here for 2 years, since Jake packed his bags after the town whispered, "Faggot," one too many times behind our backs. The isolation suited me. The cattle didn't judge, and the wind carried away the echoes of what-ifs. Ryan shivered on the couch, his clothes a sodden heap by the fireplace where I'd coaxed flames to life with split oak from the woodpile. He was younger than me, mid-20s I'd guess, with a lean build honed from city gyms, not the grind of branding irons and fence mending. His dark hair curled wet against his forehead, and a faint stubble shadowed his jaw, giving him the look of a poet who'd wandered too far from his garret. "Storm came out of nowhere," he muttered, accepting the mug of black coffee I thrust into his hands. Steam curled up like secrets unspoken. "Headed to Amarillo for a job interview. Truck hydroplaned. You're a lifesaver, man." I shrugged, leaning against the mantel, the heat prickling my skin. "Folks round here call this the devil's doorway when it brews like that. You're lucky you didn't end up in a gully with the armadillos." My voice came out gruffer than intended, a defense against the way his gaze lingered, tracing the lines of my forearms where flannel sleeves were rolled up. It had been too long since anyone looked at me like that. Not with pity, but hunger. We talked through the night as the tempest raged outside, rain drumming the tin roof like impatient fingers. Ryan was from Austin, a graphic designer chasing freelance gigs in a world that prized algorithms over artistry. "Corporate life's a meat grinder," he said, his laugh brittle as autumn leaves. I needed a reset. Thought the Panhandle might have space to breathe. There was a shadow in his words, a flicker of something raw, but he chased it away with another sip of coffee. I shared scraps of my own story, the ranch that paid in dust and dreams, the queer kid from a Bible Belt family who'd learned to hide his heart under Stetson hats and shotgun shells. By dawn, the storm had ebbed to a drizzle, and Ryan's truck was towed to the nearest garage in Lubbock, stranding him for days. He stayed, not out of necessity alone, though the mechanic swore it'd take a week to source parts from Dallas. Ryan pitched in without asking, mending a loose gate latch with zip ties from his glove box, sketching logos on napkins for my hay supplier's feed bags. His hands were artist's hands, long-fingered, ink-stained, but they gripped tools with surprising steadiness. We fell into a rhythm, easy as the sway of live oaks in the breeze. Mornings, I'd find him in the kitchen, brewing coffee strong enough to strip varnish, humming indie folk tunes that clashed with the country radio I'd left on. Afternoons, we'd ride the fence line on my old bay mare, Daisy. Ryan perched behind me, his chest pressed to my back, thighs bracketing mine in a way that sent heat pooling low in my gut. One evening, as the sun dipped blood orange behind the windmill, we sat on the porch swing with beers sweating in our fists. The air hummed with cicadas, thick with the scent of creosote and coming rain. Ryan tilted his head back, exposing the column of his throat, and sighed. This place is like stepping into a John Steinbeck novel. All that wide-open ache. His voice dropped, intimate. Makes a guy feel small and seen. I swallowed hard, the bottle cool against my palm. Seems dangerous out here. Folks in town got eyes like hawks, tongues like switchblades. But my own eyes betrayed me, tracing the curve of his lips, the way his shirt clung to the hollows of his collarbone. He caught it, that spark, and leaned in, close enough that I could smell the faint citrus of his shampoo mingling with earth. "Kiss me, Matthew," he whispered. Not a question but a dare. Our mouths met soft at first, tentative as fawns at a salt lick, then deepening with the urgency of men starved. His fingers threaded into my hair, tugging just enough to arch my neck, and I groaned into him, tasting hops and salt and the wild promise of what-ifs reborn. We broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed, the swing creaking beneath us like a heartbeat. That night, in the dim glow of my bedside lamp, we explored each other with the reverence of sinners at confession. Ryan's skin was pale against the faded quilts, freckles dusting his shoulders like stars scattered by a careless god. He mapped me with lips and tongue, tracing the faded tattoo of a lone star on my ribcage, a remnant from juicier years in Austin bars. "Beautiful," he murmured against my hip bone, his breath hot, unraveling me thread by thread. I lost myself in the arch of his back, the way he gasped my name like a prayer, our bodies sinking in a rhythm older than the land we lay upon. Days blurred into a haze of stolen touches and shared silences. Ryan's truck stayed broken, but neither of us minded. He'd sketch by the corral, charcoal smudging his fingers as he captured Daisy's liquid eyes or the ripple of heat over the pasture. I'd watch from the barn door, hammer paused mid-swing, heart swelling with a tenderness I'd thought long rotted away. We made love in the hayloft under shafts of sunlight, dust motes dancing like fireflies. Whispered futures over supper, him staying on, turning the ranch office into a studio, me learning pixels instead of plow lines. But cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface. Ryan's phone buzzed incessantly at odd hours, texts he dismissed with a flick of his thumb. "Clients," he'd say, but his jaw tightened, eyes distant as the horizon. One afternoon, while he napped in the hammock strung between posts, I glimpsed a notification. "We need to talk, before it gets worse." My gut twisted, a familiar coil of doubt. Who was he? An ex? A ghost from the city? I shoved it down, buried it like fence posts in caliche soil. Love was too fragile a bloom in this arid place. I wouldn't water it with suspicion. Yet as the second storm brewed on the weather app, thunderheads massing like unspoken fears, I couldn't shake the chill that had nothing to do with the dropping barometer. The garage called on a Thursday, parts in hand. Ryan's face fell when I told him, a shadow eclipsing the sun. "Guess that's my cue," he said, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. We drove into town in silence, the radio crooning George Strait ballads about goodbye. At the lot, he hugged me fierce, lips brushing my ear. "This isn't the end, Matt. I'll be back. Promise." He drove off in a cloud of dust, taillights winking like farewell stars. The ranch echoed emptier than before, the swing idle, his sketches curling at the edges on the fridge. I threw myself into work, repairing irrigation lines, branding strays, but nights brought dreams of green eyes and citrus scent, waking me sweat-damp and aching. 2 weeks passed in a blur of feed runs and vet calls. Then, a postcard arrived, Austin postmark. A watercolor of the Capitol Dome, Ryan's scrawl on the back. "Miss the stars out your way. Job's a grind, but thinking of you keeps me sane. Love R." My chest cracked open like parched earth to rain. I pinned it above the mantel, a talisman against the loneliness gnawing my bones. He called that weekend, voice crackling over spotty cell service. "God, I hate this cubicle hell. Come visit? I'll show you 6th Street, the dives where dreams go to dance." Laughter bubbled in me, unbidden. "Only if you promise no line dancing," I teased. We planned it loose. A weekend, no strings, just us against the city's pulse. I drove down on a crisp October Friday, the panhandle flattening to rolling hills, then the neon sprawl of Austin. Ryan met me at a taqueria off Congress, looking sharper in slim jeans and a Henley that hugged his frame, but his smile was the same, dazzling, disarming. We devoured barbacoa tacos, grease-slick fingers intertwining across the table, the world narrowing to his thumb stroking my knuckle. That night, in his loft apartment overlooking Lady Bird Lake, we rediscovered each other amid exposed brick and vinyl records. He played Springsteen low, Thunder Road, fittingly, and we moved slow, savoring the reunion, his body a map I'd memorized but yearned to retrace. Afterward, tangled in sheets scented with him, he traced lazy circles on my chest. I want this, Matt. For real. My heart stuttered. What about the ranch? Your gigs? We'll figure it. Hybrid life, me shuttling, you visiting. Or I move up there, turn cowboy. His grin was boyish, eyes earnest. I kissed him then, sealing the vow with salt and sweat. But Saturday brought the serpent into Eden. We wandered South Congress, hand in hand at first, defiant in the progressive bubble. Then pulling apart when a cluster of frat boys leered from a food truck line. Ryan tensed, but laughed it off over gelato. Small minds, big trucks, he quipped. Later, at a dive bar with drag queens slang karaoke, he got a call. Stepped outside, came back pale, excusing himself to the John. I followed after 10 minutes, worry gnawing. The alley reeked of stale beer and regret. Ryan paced, phone to ear, voice low and urgent. Ethan, stop. It's over. I told you. Ethan. The name from the text, a specter given flesh. He hung up, spotting me, and the mask cracked. X, he said flatly, lighting a cigarette with shaking hands. Complicated. We walked back in silence, the city's hum mocking our fracture. At his place, truths spilled like cheap Merlot. Ethan was the college boyfriend, the one who cheated with a sorority girl but clung like kudzu when Ryan tried to cut ties. Stalking texts, surprise visits, a restraining order gathering dust in a drawer. He's why I bolted to Amarillo. Needed distance. Then the storm. You. Jealousy flared hot in my veins, mingling with pity. You could have said. Didn't want to taint this. He gestured between us, fragile as spun glass. You're my safe harbor, Matt. We made love that night fierce and forgiving, but dawn brought a pounding at the door. Ethan, drunk and desperate, eyes red-rimmed, fists clenched. Ryan, we need to talk. Ryan froze in the kitchen, coffee mug shattering on tile. I stepped forward, broad shoulders squared. Time to go, buddy. Or I make you. Ethan sneered, gaze raking me. Who's this? Your rebound rancher? Pathetic. The word hit like a brand, but Ryan shoved past, slamming the door after a tirade of pleas and curses. He slid down the wall, head in hands, sobs racking his frame. I gathered him close, murmuring nonsense about storms passing. But inside, doubt seeded like thistle. I left Austin Sunday with a kiss and a promise. But the drive north felt heavier, the sky leaden. Back at Hale's End, the postcard mocked from the mantel. Love's fragile ink. Ryan texted daily. Hearts, inside jokes, plans for Thanksgiving. Yet Ethan's shadow lingered. A chill whined through the corral. November crept in with frost on the pumpkins, and Ryan announced his visit. 2 weeks. Quitting notice in. Gonna scout studios up your way. Elation surged, pure as spring rain. I prepped the guest room. No, our room. Clearing Jake's old shirts from the closet, hanging Ryan's sketches like icons. He arrived at twilight, truck loaded with boxes and hope. We celebrated with steak grilled rare on the back patio. Red wine from a jug, stars wheeling overhead. In bed, he whispered dreams. A life intertwined, roots dug deep in Texas soil. But betrayal brews slow, like coffee left too long on the burner. One morning, while Ryan showered, his phone lit up on the nightstand. Unlocked, trust small gift. I glanced, intending only the weather. Instead, a string of messages from E. Miss you. That hick can't love like I do. Come home. Attached, a photo. Ryan and Ethan, tangled in sheets, time-stamped last month. Austin. While I pored over postcards, the world tilted, betrayal's knife twisting deep. I confronted him in the kitchen, phone thrust forward like evidence in a trial. His face drained of color, towel slipping from hips. Matt, it's not. Not what? You lying in his bed while swearing yours was mine. Rage boiled, hot and holy. Get out, before I drag you. He dressed in silence, tears carving tracks down his cheeks. I ended it. That night you came. It was closure, stupid and wrong. But save it for the confessional. I pointed to the door, heart shattering like that mug in Austin. He left in a spray of gravel, taillights fading into the dusk. The ranch swallowed me whole after that. Work till bones ached, whiskey till numbness came. Town gossips whispered of the crazy queer, chasing shadows. But I tuned them out, burying pain under layers of dust. Winter gripped the panhandle, ice sheeting the ponds, wind howling elegies. Christmas passed in solitude, a store-bought turkey and regrets for tinsel. New Year's brought a card, no return address. Forgive the unforgivable? I burned it in the fireplace, ashes swirling like lost prayers. Yet in quiet moments, mending harnesses by lantern light, I traced the ghost of his touch, wondering if love could weather such tempests. Spring thawed the ground, greening the pastures, but my soul lagged, barren as overgrazed fields. Then, one April afternoon, as thunder grumbled distant threats, a familiar truck rattled up the drive. Ryan stepped out, thinner, eyes haunted, a manila envelope clutched like a shield. Matt, he started, voice cracking. Hear me out, please. Against every instinct screaming betrayal's echo, I nodded. We sat on the porch swing, the one that had borne our first kiss, air thick with blooming yucca. He spilled it all, Ethan's manipulation, the photo a setup, Dr. Timestamp, sheets from their old apartment. The envelope held proof. Texts, emails, a police report from Austin detailing the harassment. The final straw that sent Ryan fleeing for good. I came back to build with you, he said, hand trembling as he offered it. But I ran when it hurt. Cowardice. If you'll have me, I'll stay. Fight for this. Tears blurred my vision, the horizon smudging. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's dawn creeping over the Badlands, slow and inexorable. I took his hand, rough palm to soft, and pulled him close. Storms pass, Ryan, but roots, they hold. We rebuilt brick by aching brick. He set up in the office, screens glowing with designs for local co-ops, his laughter filling the house like birdsong after rain. I taught him the saddle's sway, the quiet communion of dawn patrols. Town talk simmered to embers. Two men, unapologetic, tending their patch of earth. Summer scorched the land golden, but our love bloomed resilient, watered by honesty and time. One evening, as fireflies sparked the meadow, Ryan knelt in the wildflowers, a simple band glinting in his fist, silver, etched with a lone star. Marry me, Matthew Hale. Let's make this forever. I hauled him up, kissing him fierce under the wheeling Milky Way. Yes, 1,000 times. The wedding was small, courthouse vows under a justice with kind eyes. Then a reception in the barn with kin who'd come around. Cousins with beers, a fiddler scraping joy. We danced barefoot in the hay, his head on my shoulder, whispering promises against the thunder of hooves from strays in the corral. Years folded like accordion pleats. Ryan's studio thrived. Hale's End expanded with eco-tour add-ons he dreamed up. We adopted a mutt named Stormy, watched sunsets from the porch, bodies entwined in the easy grace of middle age. Betrayal's scar faded to silver, a reminder that love isn't absence of gale, but standing firm within it. On our 10th anniversary, another tempest brewed, but we watched it from the swing, hands laced, his head on my shoulder. Lightning etched the sky, but no fear stirred, only the warm certainty that some shelters are built to last. The first year after the proposal was a whirlwind of practicalities wrapped in poetry. Ryan dove into wedding plans with the fervor of an artist sketching his masterpiece, but tempered by my rancher's pragmatism. No frills, no fuss, just us and the land that had birthed our story. We opted for a quiet ceremony in the spring, when bluebonnets carpeted the fields like a Texas quilt, their petals nodding approval to our unconventional union. The justice of the peace, old Harlan from the feed store, whose own brother had lived quietly with his partner for decades, performed the rites under the ancient live oak by the creek, its branches gnarled as our intertwined histories. Vows exchanged were simple, etched in the vernacular of men who'd wrangled steers and secrets alike. "I promise to mend what breaks," Ryan said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his fingers sliding the ring onto mine. "And to dance in the downpours," I countered with, "I'll shelter you from the winds, and share my whiskey when they howl." Harlan chuckled, pronouncing us bound, and we sealed it with a kiss that tasted of wild honey and homecoming. Friends trickled in afterward. A handful of Ryan's Austin creatives, my ranch hands with callous cheers, a picnic of brisket and pecan pie spread on checkered blankets. Laughter echoed as Stormy chased fireflies, oblivious to the milestone. And for the first time, the panhandle felt less like exile and more like embrace. Marriage didn't erase the fault lines. It mapped them, turning scars to constellations. Ryan's freelance work boomed, his designs gracing billboards from Dallas to Denver, sleek logos for queer-owned wineries, murals for pride festivals that caught the eye of national mags. But success pulled him cityward, weekends in Houston for client meets, leaving the ranch echoing with absence. I'd pace the porch at dusk, nursing a Shiner Bock, watching the silhouette of mesquite against fading light, wondering if the city's siren song would lure him away for good. One such night, after a particularly grueling cattle drive left me bone-weary and sun-blistered, his truck crunched gravel late. Ryan tumbled out, tie askew, portfolio case banging the door. "Missed you," he breathed, burying his face in my neck before I could grumble. We made love on the living room rug, urgent and unscripted, his shirt buttons scattering like buckshot. Afterward, sprawled in the firelight, he confessed the trip's toll. A pitch meeting soured by a XX offhand. "That's so gay" jab, masked as humor. "Felt like high school all over again," he admitted, tracing the star tattoo on my ribs. Hiding the flinch. I pulled him closer, our legs tangling like vines. "You're home now. Flinch all you want. I've got the broad shoulders." It became our mantra, flinch, but don't fold. We leaned into community, 2 subtle shifts. Ryan volunteered at the local library's art program, teaching queer youth to channel doubt into doodles. I tagged along once, awkward in my Wranglers among acrylics and easels, but watching him light up a shy kid's face with "Your lines are fierce, own 'em," cracked something paternal in me. Talk turned to kids, not blood but chosen. "Adopt," he mused over breakfast one morning, syrup dripping from his fork. "Or foster. Give some city stray a taste of stars." The idea rooted slow like cottonwood by a dry riverbed. We dove into classes, home studies, the bureaucracy a gauntlet of prying questions. 2 dads? How'll that work? Ryan's charm smoothed edges. My steadiness anchored us. Approval came in summer swelter, and our first placement arrived in August. A lanky teen named Alex, 14 and furious, shipped from a Dallas group home after a shoplifting bust tied to his absent folks. Alex was a storm in human form. Spiked hair dyed electric blue, hoodies layered against the world, eyes that dared you to care. He sneered at the ranch chores I assigned. Mucking stalls, feeding chickens, calling them hillbilly bullshit. Ryan countered with patience, sketching sessions in the studio where Alex's graffiti tags bloomed into murals of superheroes with capes like thunderclouds. Nights were battles. Slammed doors, accusations flung like horseshoes. "You queers just want a poster boy." But we held the line. No raised voices, just open doors and seconds at the table. Breakthrough came in October, during a norther that blanketed the fields in rare snow. Alex sulked by the window, breath fogging glass, until Ryan hauled out hot cocoa and a sketchpad. "Draw the storm," he urged. Hours later, the kid unveiled a masterpiece. Our ranch house defiant amid swirling flakes, 2 figures on the porch. Us. Arms linked, a third silhouette joining tentative. "That's me," Alex mumbled, cheeks flushed. "Fitting in, maybe." We hugged him then, a clumsy pile of limbs and sniffles, and I knew parenthood wasn't perfection but persistence. Alex stayed permanent by Christmas, court papers signed under twinkling lights. He softened the edges of our days, teaching Ryan TikTok dances that left us wheezing, challenging me to video game duels where I lost gloriously. Family, we'd learned, was forged in the forge of friction, emerging tempered and true. Yet shadows lingered. Ethan's ghost resurfaced sporadically. An anonymous letter postmarked Austin, venom scrawled in block letters. "You'll ruin that boy like you ruined him." Ryan paled reading it, crumpling the page, but we reported it, bolstered the restraining order with lawyers Ryan's firm comped. It hardened us, that echo of malice, reminding how fragile acceptance remained in corners of the heartland. We countered with visibility. Alex's first pride float in Lubbock, rainbow flags snapping from the truck bed, cheers from unexpected faces. Old ranchers nodding approval, kids waving like it was Mardi Gras. Ryan's career crested that year, a solo exhibit in Santa Fe drawing raves from the Journal. Queer Cowboys, reclaiming the range, the catalog read, featuring pieces inspired by us. Me as a stoic silhouette against sunset, him as a whirlwind of color crashing into still waters. Opening night, I stood awkward in chinos among berate critics, but his dedication plaque, "To Matthew, my anchor in the gale," drew me into tears, hidden behind a Stetson. Sales funded a ranch edition, a guest cabin for foster placements, a studio expansion with skylights for starlit inspirations. Anniversary 2 dawned with a bang, literally. A busted pipe flooded the kitchen at 3 a.m., water sheeting like indoor rain. Groggy, we mopped side by side, Alex wielding a mop like a lightsaber, quipping, "Hail family baptism?" Laughter bubbled, turning exhaustion to camaraderie. By noon, we'd salvaged the day with a picnic under the oak. Sandwiches soggy but spirits high. That night, as Alex crashed early, Ryan and I slipped to the hayloft, the loft where our love first tangled. Straw pricked our backs, moonlight slanting through slats, and we moved slow, reverent, celebrating not just years but the alchemy of survival. Fall brought harvest, the air crisp with applewood smoke from neighborhood bonfires. Alex joined the high school art club, his pieces earning blue ribbons at the county fair. Judges murmuring talent, without the side-eye they'd once reserved for his dads. Ryan beamed from the sidelines, camera clicking, while I hauled cider jugs, pride swelling like yeast in dough. But beneath the bounty, unease stirred. Town hall whispers of a new ordinance, banning alternative lifestyle education in schools, ruffled feathers. Ryan rallied, organizing a quiet forum at the community center, voices from all sides airing grievances under fluorescent hum. I spoke haltingly, gripping the podium. Love's not a lesson plan, it's life. We've got a kid who thrives, 'cause he sees us thrive. Applause rippled, tentative but real, and the measure fizzled in committee. Victory tasted sweet, like molasses pie, but it underscored the vigilance required. Eternal watch against the creeping frost of judgment. Winter wrapped us in its arms again, holidays a tapestry of traditions blended. Ryan's lax alongside my tamales, Alex's playlist mixing Mariah Carey with Merle Haggard. New Year's Eve, we clinked mugs under the windmill, resolutions murmured into the chill. More travels, perhaps. A road trip to the Grand Canyon, queering the family van with snack stops at diners that might or might not serve us. Spring unfurled with possibility, bluebonnets rioting anew. Ryan surprised me with a trail ride at dawn, daisy-saddled tandem, his arms around my waist as we crested the ridge. The valley spread below, hails and a patchwork of green promise, and he reined us to a halt, pulling a thermos of coffee. "To us," he toasted, eyes crinkling. "The storm that stayed." I kissed him there, wind tousling our hair, heart full to bursting. Betrayal's memory was a distant rumble now, eclipsed by this symphony of shared sunrises. Yet life, ever the dramatist, scripted a new act. A call from child services, another placement. Twin brothers, 8 years old, orphaned by overdose, wary as foals. We said yes, bunk beds hammered together in the addition, patience stretched thin by nightmares and night terrors. The twins, Jamie and Lee arrived shell-shocked, clutching stuffed dinosaurs like talismans. Ryan knelt to their level, sketching a T-Rex rancher on the spot, while I offered carrots to the chickens. "Your new pets, if you're gentle." Integration was jagged. Tantrums at supper, questions piercing as branding irons. "Why two dads? Where's Mom?" We answered honest, no sugarcoating, and slowly walls crumbled. Jamie took to writing, small hands fisting mane. Lee shadowed Ryan in the studio, paint-smeared fingers birthing beasts of primary colors. Parenthood doubled, then tripled, the ranch a bustling haven of chaos and charm. Alex mentored the littles, eye rolls masking affection, teaching them to whistle at dusk for the horses. Mornings blurred into a ballet of breakfasts and bus runs. Evenings into story hours where Ryan voiced dragons with theatrical flair. Exhaustion crept in, but so did joy, pure, unadulterated, like the first rain after drought. By summer's end, the boys were ours. Adoption final under that same oak, Harlan presiding with a wink. "Another Hail Miracle," he boomed, and we hooped, water balloons bursting in celebration, soaking us all in laughter's deluge. Anniversary 3 dawned humid, cicadas chorusing approval. Ryan and I stole away to the creek, kids corralled by hands, for a morning of nothing but us. We swam naked in the shallows, water cool against sun-warmed skin, then lay on the bank, fingers laced, watching clouds shapeshift. "Think we can keep this?" he asked, voice soft with wonder. I turned to him, tracing the laugh lines fanning his eyes. "We've weathered worse. It's our blue sky. Love, I learned, isn't a single shelter but a series, erected, battered, rebuilt." With Ryan, it was a ranch house against the gales, sturdy and sprawling. Room enough for all our storms. The 4th year tested the beams of our foundation like a twister probing for weakness. It started innocuous. A flicker in Ryan's sketches, lines sharper, shadows deeper. I'd catch him at the drafting table late, rubbing temples, dismissing it as deadlines. "Big contract," he'd say, pecking my cheek before bed. But the bags under his eyes deepened. His laughter thinned to polite echoes. Alex noticed first, cornering me in the barn. "Dad, Matt, he's burning out, like that candle we tried to race last Thanksgiving." I confronted him gently over coffee one dawn, the percolator gurgling like a confidant. "Talk to me, love. What's eating you?" Ryan deflated, shoulders slumping like deflated bellows. The contract was a beast. Redesigning branding for a national AG co-op, the kind with deep pockets but deeper closets. Execs praised his edgy, queer-infused aesthetics privately, then scrubbed them for family values ads. Rainbows muted to pastels, cowboys straight-washed to heteronormative props. "It's erasure," he vented, fists clenched around his mug. "I'm selling my soul for a check that funds our life." We hashed it nights after kids slept, twins tucked with dinosaur tails, Alex headphones on in his room. "Quit," I urged, practical as ever. "Ranch can tighten belts. We've got the cabin rentals now. Folks love your queer cowboy vibe for glamping." Ryan wavered, pride warring with provision. He pushed through, delivering a compromised portfolio that paid bills but hollowed his spark. The check cleared, but so did the fire in his eyes. Fall brought balm. A family trip to Big Bend, our first real vacation, van packed with coolers and card games. The desert stripped us bare. Sun-scorched trails where Jamie collected quartz like treasures. Lee sketched cacti warriors. Alex hiked ahead with teen impatience. Ryan and I stole moments at Rio Grande overlooks, hands brushing amid tamarisk, whispering futures unmarred by boardrooms. One night, campfire crackling under star-drenched sky, he unveiled a new piece. Us as desert guardians, intertwined against a sunset blaze. "Reclaiming," he said, and kissed me slow, embers mirroring the heat between us. Back home, momentum built. Ryan launched a side hustle, custom queer ranch merch, tees with slogans like "Love's no bull," emblazoned over longhorn silhouettes. Orders flooded from online pride shops, funding a buffer against corporate chains. Alex, now 16 and sprouting like Johnson grass, designed the logos, his street art edge adding bite. The twins, rambunctious at 10, modeled for photo shoots, dinosaur stuffies swapped for cowboy hats. Their giggles infectious. But equilibrium shattered in November. A call from Austin shattering the idol. Ethan's mother, frail and apologetic, relayed the news. Her son, lost to a overdose in a seedy motel, journal clutched with Ryan's name inked like a curse. He never let go, she wept. Blamed you for breaking him. Ryan hung up white-knuckled, retreating to the studio for days, emerging hollow-cheeked, sketches turned abstract storms of black and gray. Grief's a greedy guest, overstaying, demanding space. He withdrew, meals picked at, touches rebuffed. Not you, he'd murmur when I reached out. Just processing the poison. I gave him room, corralling kids with extra chores and stories, but loneliness gnawed. Echoes of my post-Jake isolation, amplified by fatherhood's demands. Alex stepped up, cooking spaghetti with meatball meteorites for the twins. His quiet, "We got this," dad a lifeline. Counseling helped, sessions in Lubbock with a therapist versed in queer trauma. Ryan unpacked the guilt, years of Ethan's gaslighting. The photos lie a symptom of deeper rot. I loved him once, he admitted. But not like this, not like us. I held his hand through tears, my own spilling for the boy Ethan might have been without the world's weight. Forgiveness extended, a bridge over abyss. We donated to Austin's LGBTQ youth shelter in his name, a quiet restitution. Healing bloomed uneven, like wildflowers after fire. By Christmas, Ryan strung lights with vigor, orchestrating a nativity play where twins played wise men on stick-horse camels. Alex the sarcastic shepherd. Laughter returned, tentative, then torrent. New Year's, we renewed informal vows by the creek. Rings polished, promising resilience amid ripples. Spring surged with growth. Ryan's merch line exploding. Collaborations with Austin drag troops yielding limited edition Pride gear. We hosted a Ranch Pride picnic, rainbow banners fluttering from fence posts, locals mingling with city allies. Brisket smoked slow, line dancing to remixed Reba. Skeptics came curious, left converted. One old-timer clapping my shoulder. Y'all make this dirt richer. Summer tested anew. A drought parched the pastures, wells running shallow. I fretted over feed costs, hay prices spiking like oil futures. Ryan pivoted, launching Ranch Rescue crowdfunding, art prints of our land, proceeds for irrigation upgrades. Backers poured in, stories shared. Your love inspires. Let us water it. The well deepened, rains followed. A metaphor too on the nose for fiction. Anniversary 4, we escaped to the coast, Padre Island. Kids building sandcastles shaped like Hale's End, complete with moat and drawbridge. Evenings, Ryan and I walked the surf, waves lapping ankles, his head on my shoulder. Ethan's ghost is quiet now, he said, voice carried by salt wind. Thanks to you. I squeezed his hand, shells crunching underfoot. To ghosts and gales, may they pass gentle. Fall harvested abundance. Alex's first gallery show in Amarillo, teen angst transmuted to canvas. Portraits of us, raw and radiant. Critics cooed prodigy, but his dedication to the dads who dared choked me silent. The twins started for H, raising a pair of lambs named Thunder and Bolt, their tenderness with woolly charges melting hearts at fair weigh-ins. Winter whispered warnings. Town elections brewed conservative heat, a challenger railing against woke agendas, with veiled swipes at families like ours. Ryan organized counter-rallies, megaphone in hand at the courthouse square. This land's for lovers all kinds. Turnout swelled, our picnic alums waving signs. Hail yeah! And the incumbent held, but narrowly. Victory tasted bittersweet, vigilance's price etched deeper. By spring's thaw, we'd weathered it, stronger in the seams. Ryan's latest series, Roots and Rainbows, toured small galleries, capturing foster journeys. Anonymous faces, but ours in the margins, anchors amid flux. A piece sold to the Smithsonian's Folk Life Wing. Headline reading Texas Tales of Queer Kinship. Anniversary 5 loomed like a beacon, But first, a curveball. Another placement call. A 5-year-old girl, Lila, with braids and a stutter, fleeing domestic chaos. We hesitated, house full, hearts stretched. But her photo, wide-eyed under hospital fluorescence, tipped the scale. "Room at the table," Ryan said, and we cleared space, bunk beds yielding to a canopy princess frame. Lila arrived skittish, clutching a rag doll named Whiskers, words tumbling hesitant. The boys enfolded her gentle, Jamie sharing Dino facts, Lee drawing feline friends, while Alex quipped "little sis upgrade" to mask his soft spot. Ryan and I tag-teamed nights, rocking her through whimpers, my baritone humming Twinkle Till Dawn. Integration wove slow threads. Lila's stutter eased in the studio, paintbrush a wand for unspoken spells. She took to Daisy like a duckling, tiny boots in stirrups during pony rides. Challenges reared, jealousies flaring, schedules snapping like overtaught reins. But love lubricated the gears, turning friction to flow. Summer solstice, we celebrated with a backyard hoedown. Lanterns strung, fiddler scraping, orange blossom special. Lila danced on my boots, braids flying, Ryan twirling Alex in mock waltz. Twins chased fireflies, their laughter a chorus. Under stars, Ryan pulled me aside, envelope in hand. Legal papers, Lila's adoption pending. "Our circle widens," he murmured, kissing me deep. Doubt flickered. Could we sustain? But gazing at our patchwork family, sprawled on quilts with Esmore's sticky grins, certainty bloomed. We'd built not just a shelter, but a village against the void. Fall gilded the leaves. Lila's first school days met with backpack parades and lunchbox notes. Ryan's tour wrapped triumphant, residuals seeding a family trust, security against lean years. Alex, 17 now, eyed colleges. UT Austin calling with art scholarships, but vowed weekends home. Can't leave the circus. Winter's hush brought reflection. Holiday cards to Ethan's mom. A tentative olive branch yielding thanks. A photo of her garden. He'd want peace. Closure. Hard one. Settled like snow. Anniversary 5 erupted in surprise. Ryan blindfolded me, leading to the barn transformed. Fairy lights, hay bale thrones, kids in Sunday best as officiants. Vows renewed, Harlan presiding anew. Still crazy after all these years. We danced to Springsteen, family encircling, and I knew. Storms come, but so do sunbreaks, and ours was perpetual. Year 6 dawned with the subtle shift of middle passage, milestones blurring into the rearview while the horizon beckoned uncharted. Lila, now 6, blossomed into a whirlwind of questions and curls, her stutter silenced by the ranch's rhythm. Chasing chickens with gleeful shrieks, demanding story time, Daddy Rye. Each eve, the boys adjusted, twins at 11 engineering elaborate forts from corral poles. Alex at 18 navigating driver's ed with the gravitas of a gunslinger, his hands steady on the wheel but eyes flicking to me for approval. Ryan's career, once a wild Mustang, settled into a sure-footed trot. A tenure-track gig at Texas Tech's design program, commuting Wednesdays to Lubbock for lectures on visual narratives of marginalized masculinities. Students flocked, his charisma a magnet, but the drive wore grooves, irritability at supper, sketches abandoned half-formed. "It's good," he'd insist, waving off concern. Prestige, stability. But I saw the toll, the way he'd rub his neck post-class, muttering about ivory tower hypocrites, who praised his authenticity then nitpicked its edges. Family anchored us, a keel against chop. Alex's graduation loomed, cap and gown draped over his studio chair like a conqueror's cloak. We threw a pre-party, bonfire roaring, ribs slow-smoked, kin from Austin caravanning up with coolers of Shiner. He spoke in his toast, voice cracking just once. "This ranch, these dads, they taught me art's not just pretty, it's armor." Hugs crushed, tears salt-tracked, and as fireworks popped overhead, Ryan leaned into me. Our boys flying. Scary, beautiful. College drop-off in August was a gut punch. Dorm room bunked with posters of Basquiat. Alex's murals peeled from walls like shed skins. The drive home echoed hollow, Lila sniffling in her booster, twins bickering over iPad turns. Ryan gripped the wheel white-knuckled. Radio silenced. Empty nest preview, he joked, but his laugh rang false. That night, we mourned in the hayloft, bodies seeking solace in familiarity. Slow, aching, a reclamation of space now ours alone amid the bustle. Fall's palette turned amber. Lila starting kindergarten with a lunchbox etched, Hail Heart. She thrived, finger paints home depicting our super fam. Stick figures on horseback, rainbows arcing overhead. Twins joined soccer, cleats muddying the mudroom. Their cheers at games a cacophony that drowned doubts. Ryan's classes hummed, a paper on queer ranch iconography landing in an anthology. But feedback stung. Romanticizes peril. He vented over wine. They want trauma porn, not triumph. We countered with action. A weekend retreat for queer families. Hale's End as host. Cabins filled with couples like us. Kids romping free range. Evenings around the fire sharing war stories and wins. A dad from Houston, ink on his arms mirroring mine, clapped Ryan's shoulder. Your work? It's our mirror. Bonds forged, emails exchanged, a network against isolation's creep. Winter whispered of change. Ryan's department head dangled a full-time offer. Lubbock base, no commute. More time, he argued. For us, the kids. But uprooting? The ranch was vein deep. Hale's End my pulse. Debates simmered. Pros weighed. Stability? Proximity to specialists for Lila's emerging asthma. Cons tallied. Goodbye to pastures. The oak shade. Kids chimed in. Twins begged. No move. Chickens need us. Lila drew tearful maps of stay home. Decision dragged into spring. A fever dream of pros-cons lists pinned to the fridge. Alex visited Easter, sensing the rift, pulling Ryan aside for a bro talk on the porch. Whatever wisdom he dispensed worked. Ryan emerged resolute. Part-time, he declared. Hybrid soul. Teach Tuesdays, create here. Relief flooded, hugs communal. The compromise a bridge preserving both worlds. Summer scorched, drought redux threatening herds. I culled selectively, heart heavy with each trailer load to auction. Ryan rallied artists for Thirsty Lands auction. Canvases of cracked earth, proceeds for rainwater systems. Bids soared, installation funded. A windmill reborn with solar kiss. Gratitude swelled. One bidder, a Dallas philanthropist, offered grants for eco-ranching, turning liability to legacy. Anniversary 6, we marked intimate. A cabin getaway, kids boarded with hands, just us and the stars. Wine by candlelight, he read poetry. Walt Whitman, leaves of grass twining our limbs. Love-making lingered, exploratory as newlyweds. His fingers mapping freckles I'd forgotten. Dawn, tangled in quilts, he confessed. The offer scared me. Thought you'd choose land over me. I cupped his face, thumb tracing jaw. You're the land, Ryan. Fertile, fierce, forever. Fall harvested maturity. Lila's school play, her as a sassy tree in the giving tree. Stealing scenes with improvised hugs. Twins lambs blue-ribboned at fair. Their whoops echoing countywide. Alex's freshman exhibit streamed online. Home range, portraits of us mid-laugh, mid-chore, drawing campus buzz. Ryan guest lectured, beaming via Zoom as I wrangled supper chaos. Winter's grip loosened with opportunity. A documentary crew from Austin, scouting queer heartland for PBS. They filmed us raw, Ryan sketching at dawn, me branding under relentless sun. Kids' chorus of Dad. Look. Interviews peeled layers. My father's unspoken acceptance. A deathbed nod to live true. Ryan's city scars. Ethan's shadow a footnote in resilience's tale. Airing spring. It rippled, fan mail flooding. Invites to panels. A quiet fame that fortified rather than fractured. By anniversary 7, we'd evolved. Gray threading Ryan's temples like silver loads. My knees creaking on ladders, but passion undimmed. We hiked the ridge, packs light, pausing at the overlook where he'd proposed addendum vows. To middles, he toasted with canteen water. Where the best stories deepen. Kids echoed growth. Lila, 8. Penning picture books of cowboy princes. Twins, 13. Debating climate in 4-H speeches. Their eloquence an echo of Ryan's fire. Alex, home summers. Apprenticed in the studio. His style fusing mine and Ryan's. Raw line meets vivid hue. Yet trials tempered. Lila's asthma flared in pollen storms. Air runs at midnight. Nebulizers humming like dirges. Ryan's part-time teetered. Admin demanding more. Burnout specter lurking. We leaned on network. Playdates for buffers, therapy for tools. A neighbor, widowed rancher Tom, stepped up with tractor loans and tall tales. His y'all our family a bomb. Summer's heatwave peaked with crisis. A flash flood swelling the creek. Corrals underwater. Calves swept downstream. We waded waist-deep, Ryan clutching Lila high, me lassoing strays amid debris. Rescue came communal. Neighbors fording with ropes, helicopters whirring overhead. Losses tallied, 3 head gone. But unity forged. Barn-raising redo, potluck sustaining. A town toast to hail heroes. Fall's equinox brought equilibrium. Ryan renegotiated hours, prioritizing hearth. Lila's book, illustrated by Alex, self-published for local shelves, The Storm Shelter, sold out at readings. Her readings flawless, Stutter a conquered giant. Twins soccer team clinched regionals. Cleats traded for clefs in choir. Winter wrapped gifts. Alex's internship at MoMA, deferred for home roots. A family cruise to Mexico, waves rocking us gentle. Lila's braids beaded with shells. New Year's, under windmill chimes, we clinked cider, to floods and full hearts. Anniversary 8 dawned crisp, a hot air balloon ride surprise. Basket lifting over pastures, kids waving below like ants at picnic. Aloft, Ryan unfurled a banner, 8th storm survived. Laughter bubbled, wind our only witness, love buoyant as helium. Life's script thickened, health scares minor, my cholesterol nudge, Ryan's glasses upgrade, Joy's major, Lila's piano recital. Twins' first crushes confessed in whispers. We mentored a new foster family, sharing blueprints of belonging. Our ranch a beacon in the Badlands. By 9, patterns solidified. Annual retreats, monthly date nights, tacos in town, stargazing drives, gratitude journals swapped like love letters. Ryan's magnum opus, Panhandle Portraits, chronicled our kin volumes of vulnerability, valor. Exhibit in Dallas drew crowds. A review hailing humanity's horizon. Anniversary 9, Creekside, barefoot vows. To chapters closing, new pages turning. Kids crashed the after-party, esmores and songs. Our circle unbreakable. Year 10 crested like a wave held at peak. Decade marker, silver confetti for rings. Gala in the barn. Black tie optional, fiddles and fireworks, toasts from kin near and far. Alex, grad student now, emceed. They sheltered a storm. We got a saga. Ryan and I slow dance center. His whisper hot. Unforgettable you. Tears pricked. Yes, the stranger from the gale had upended my world. Betrayal's blade dulled by time's whetstone. We'd built an empire of empathy, one heartbeat at a time. The 11th year unfolded like a well-worn ballad, verses familiar yet laced with fresh harmonies. Lila, at 9, declared herself artist in training, commandeering the studio for collage chaos. Magazine clippings of cowboys kissing under rainbows, glued with the fervor of manifestos. The twins, 14 and lanky as fence posts, navigated puberty's pitfalls. Voice cracks mid-sermon at youth group, crushes on classmates that prompted awkward, safe space talks over burgers. Alex, 20, balanced master's thesis with ranch returns, his city polish shedding like snake skin upon gravel crunch. Ryan's tenure solidified, a sabbatical granted for a book, Visual Voices, Queer Resilience in Rural America. Interviews with couples like us, portraits pulsing with pulse. He traveled light. Weekends in Oklahoma plains, New Mexico mesas. Me tagging along when cabs allowed. Motel nights tangled in narratives unwritten. This is legacy, he'd say. Recorder paused, hand in mine across diner Formica. But distance nipped heels. A week apart felt eternal. Texts a poor substitute for his citrus scent. Family compensated. A symphony of support. Lila's school project on My Heroes featured us front page. Poster board proclamations. Daddies who love big as Texas. Teachers pinned it in halls, whispers turning to winks. Twins choir tour to state capitol. Harmonies haunting the rotunda. Their solo on Shenandoah drawing standing ovations, and a scholarship scouts card. Alex collaborated on Ryan's book, photo essays capturing foster faces, blurred for privacy, his lens a bridge between generations. Spring's renewal carried undercurrents. My father's old lawyer called, estate settled late. Land adjacent to Hale's End, 50 acres of untapped pasture. Expansion whispered. More cabins. A community garden for town queers seeking soil therapy. Ryan sketched blueprints, eco-domes with solar spines, sanctuary springs etched in vision boards. Funding flowed from BookBuzz, grants for rural LGBTQ havens. Summer solstice, we broke ground. Shovels biting earth under bluebonnet banner. Locals toasting with long necks. Lila, dedicated with a time capsule. Sketches, a family photo, note reading for future loves. Hold tight in storms. Ceremony morphed to hoe down. Dust kicking under boot heels, unity a living thing. Anniversary 11, a quiet crest. Horseback picnic at Ridge, saddlebags stuffed with charcuterie and cheroot cigars. We smoked slow, ash falling like gray snow, reminiscing the night that started it. Thunder's gift. You saved me, Ryan said, leaning into my shoulder. From more than rain. I stubbed the cigar, pulling him astride, kiss deepening with decades' depth. We saved each other. Still do. Fall's harvest swelled. Lila's collage in a kid's art biennial. Storm lovers, taking honorable mention. Her grin, gap-toothed glory. Twins soccer semis. Goals netted in overtime. Cheers shaking stadium bleachers. Alex's thesis defense aced. Celebratory bonfire where he announced, staying local, teaching at Tech with you, pop. Ryan hooped, bear hug engulfing, pride paternal as dawn. Winters we've tightened. First snow, rare and reverent, blanketing corrals and hush. We sled the hill, Lila shrieking trajectories, twins engineering jumps, laughter echoing pure. Holiday lights strung communal. Neighbor Tom hosting cookie swaps, his stories of old queer outlaws weaving lore. Year 12 dawn decisive. Sanctuary Springs ribbon cut, first guests. A trans couple from Fort Worth, honeymooning in wildflowers. Testimonials poured. Felt seen, not stared at. Revenue stabilized Ryan's sabbatical. Book launch in Austin a sellout. Signing lines snaking. Hugs from strangers who'd sheltered via our story. Challenges crested subtle. Lila's tween sass, testing boundaries with eye rolls and whatever's. Twins friend drama. Whispers of gay dads, at school met with my impromptu assemblies on Love's No Label. Ryan's book tour taxed. A blizzard stranding him in Denver. My vigil by weather app till safe return. Reunion at gate. Airport kiss defiant amid stairs. Homeward flight hands clasped. Summer's blaze brought blaze of glory. Alex's wedding to his partner, Jordan. A sculptor with hands like Ryan's, gentle on clay and kin. Ceremony under our oak, vows echoing ours. Through gales and grace. Lila flower girl in boots, twins ushers cracking wise. Reception barn ablaze with joy. Ryan's toast teared up. Love's a legacy. Pass it bold. Fall deepened bonds. Lila's piano duet with Alex at recital. Notes intertwining like lives. Twins debate club championship. Arguing queer rights as civil right. Podium pounded with passion. Sanctuary bookings boomed. A waiting list for healing weekends. Anniversary 12, creek immersion. Wading ankle deep. Rings dipped in current, renewal ritual. To flows unending. We murmured, water beating skin like blessings. Year 13 tested tenacity. Health hiccup. Ryan's routine scan flagging a polyp. Biopsy benign but biopsy's shadow lingering. We rallied, checkups calendared, but fear's aftertaste soured suppers. Therapy unpacked it. Cancer's my boogeyman. he admitted. Ethan's overdose a twin specter. I held space. Hikes are healing, wildflowers picked as talismans. Spring rebounded. Polyp news clear. Celebration with family feast. Toasts to bodies as resilient as hearts. Lila, 11, penned a sequel book, After the Storm. Self-illustrated, proceeds to cancer funds. Twins, 15, volunteered at Sanctuary, guiding trails with teen gravitas. Summer's heat forged forward. Alex and Jordan's adoption of a sibling set. Our cabin their crash pad. Aunt-uncle duties delighting. Lila babysat mini lessons. Braids now to waist, wisdom precocious. Fall's foliage framed milestones. Ryan's book sequel greenlit. Sanctuaries rising. Twins driver's licenses. Keys tossed with no speeding through heartbreaks. Lila's middle school play. Lead as feminist frontierswoman. Curtain call bows to my daddy's drama. Winter warmed with wonder. Family ski trip to Taos. Slopes conquered clumsy. Hot toddies thawing chills. New Year's, under chimes. Resolutions, embrace the unknown. Anniversary 13, balloon redux. Higher, hotter air. Banner 13 thunders tamed. Descent to picnic, love's vintage deepening. Year 14 flowed fuller. Lila's braces glinting in grins. Braces on dreams of vet school. Twins part-time at feed store, pockets jingling, egos checked. Alex's tenure track. Jordan's studio in the addition. Grandkids' visits a romping riot. Challenges crested gentle. Empty nest echoes as twins eyed colleges. Applications essays on ranch-raised radicals. Ryan's lecture circuit, my solo suppers, but video calls bridged. Flirty footnotes to days. Summer solstice, twins graduation. Diplomas clutched, speeches soaring. Roots run deep, wings don't sever. Parties pooled, bonfire confessions of nerves and nestles. Fall transitioned, college send-offs, dorms duel in Waco, weekend warriors vowed. Lila, 12, stepped into eldest shoes, chores shouldered with sass. Anniversary 14, coastal reprise, waves crashing vows, seashells strung as garlands. To ebbs and swells, we pledged, salt-kissed. Year 15 marked mid-century pivot. Ryan's half-hundred, celebrated with roast, cowboy poetry slams, cakes iced, silver fox still storms. My echo 2 years prior, mutual mercy and aches, but vigor unquenched. Morning runs, yoga under oaks. Lila's bat mitzvah, Ryan's lapsed Jewish roots revived. Torah portion on strangers as kin, her drash on our story-slaying synagogue. Twins home holidays, beards budding, bows brought tentative. Winter's whiteout bonded. Snowed in, board games marathon. Stories spun of that first storm. Laughter layered, love's insulation. Anniversary 15, hayloft haven. Straw nests, starlight confessions. Unforgettable endures. Ryan whispered, body arching familiar. Decades distilled. Betrayals to bedrock, storms to stories. A life laced with lightning, electric, enduring. Hail's end, no longer mine alone, thrummed with our symphony. Chaotic, compassionate, complete. In twilight years, we'd rock the porch, his head on shoulder, grandkids romping fields. Worth the gale, he'd tease. Every drop, I'd affirm, kiss sealing the saga. And so, the stranger from the storm became my storm. Raging, renewing, the unforgettable force that made me whole.